and welcome to Helly's live from a very new location. My voice might be echoing a little bit today because I have not really set anything up in this room yet, which is why it's too empty. But bear with me please, because finally I bring to you something that all of you have been requesting me for so long. Helly, please bring back the monthly recommendations. I used to do these videos since last year, where each and every month I used to recommend books, movies, courses and podcasts that you can consider each and every month, so that every month you can upskill, uplevel and enjoy your life. But due to some reasons I just couldn't continue it. However, I'm resuming on huge popular demand. So without any further ado, let's get started. And of course, first we are going to talk about the books I want to recommend to anyone who wants to get started with reading, to anyone who wants to read more in November and eventually probably in 2022 as well, become a reader. And the first book that I want to start off with is this book called There Is No Such Thing as an Easy Job. As you know that I really enjoy reading Japanese novels. They have a whole different level of sadness but also optimism, exactly what I need in my life. That probably already in some parts feels so great, but sometimes it just feels like nothing is right. I'm pretty sure you can relate with that feeling. And Japanese novels like this actually embark on a journey of exploring what it means to have a good life where you don't know what to do, where you don't know what is the purpose of living. This book follows a girl who goes to an employment agency with certain specifications that she wants in her job. And she gets some jobs as well. However, no matter which job she goes to, although she starts off very excitedly, she just doesn't feel the drive after some time, or something just falls off and she realizes that there is no such thing as an easy job. I believe that this book will resonate a lot with anyone who loves reading books on capitalism, who loves reading books on existentialism and what it actually means to have a purposeful life, because our jobs, our work life comprises of such a huge part in it. When you think about your job, especially if you're from India, where there are very few options, especially if you want to make your parents proud. Of course, you can either be an engineer, you can be a doctor, or you can be just a failure in life according to the society. So for someone living in India, this book actually resonates much more, because what is purposeful if you're not a doctor or an engineer, or nor something that is socially acceptable or respectable? I believe this book raised a lot of questions that it doesn't necessarily answer. However, I could resonate a lot with it, because over the last few years, although I have a very successful business, since it's a business and since I'm a single girl doing my own business, I face a lot of scrutiny day to day, because people just don't get what I do. Although I'm very happy with what I do, a lot of times I just have to lie or just have to tone my talents or tone what I do down so that people relate to it. Quick example, instead of telling people that I have a YouTube channel, I just tell people that I run YouTube ads, because people find that easier to understand. And it's really sad that I have to just change the way I present myself just to be socially acceptable. I have actually talked so much more about this in my Instagram stories. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love it. So this is a book that I'll definitely recommend for anyone in whatever age range you might be. This book and the next book that I'm going to recommend, which is basically a book called, or an audio book called, How Tea Took Over Coffee in India. I love this read so much. So basically I use this audiobook app called Storytel, and Storytel has this section called Storytel Originals, which has both fictional and non-fictional novels and stories and essays. Last month I read this fiction book called Strange Death of Anindya Sundar. I recommended that previously, please check it out. But lately I decided that I'm going to explore their non-fiction side, and there was this book that I really that intrigued me a lot, and it was called How Tea Took Over Coffee in India. Personally, I am more of a tea person, but I have phases in my life where I only have coffee and nothing else. So as someone who has been on both sides of the spectrum, I wanted to know what was the history of tea overtaking coffee in India. This book is very entertaining, very informative. It's definitely worth knowing. And if you want to have good coffee table conversations with people or tea table conversations with people, definitely read this book. This book has a lot of history, mythology, and a lot of stories that may or may not be true, but they are very interesting to know nevertheless. This book, the previous book, and even the next couple of books I'm going to recommend today are all available on Storytel. Storytel is my favorite audiobook platform. I love reading audiobooks because one of the best things about audiobooks is that you can increase the speed of reading, and I actually end up reading much faster when I'm reading audiobooks. So usually I listen at 2 times speed, but if you're not comfortable with that, you can make it 1.2, 1.5, and that's just one of the features of Storytel. Please check out Storytel yourself using the link in my description. And I know that at least 1,000 of you have clicked on that link and bought Storytel subscription previously, because we get the data. So I wanted to let you know that Storytel's annual subscription is available at a heavily discounted rate. So it's usually 300 per month, specifically 299 per month. But if you get the whole annual subscription, instead of about 3,000 a year, you can get it at about 1,500 a year. That's like half the price. So if you are a regular user of Storytel, please make sure that you avail this offer. And other offers that are available with Storytel will also be in the description below. Storytel is one of the best ways to read books worth thousands of rupees at less than a few hundred every single month. So make sure you give audiobooks a try. And with that, let's move on to the next book that I want to recommend, and this book is called The Call. This book is called The Call. So I know that a lot of you have watched Squid Games, you have loved Squid Games, and you want to read books that are similar to these manhunt and survival game or kind of books, and Call is one of them. It's sort of like Hunger Games, but it's like, instead of some people being chosen, in this book, almost every teenager has to go through this whole process. It's kind of horror fantasy mix. So if you are a reader who enjoys these genres, please give it a go. It's easy to read, although if you are a beginner with these genres, I don't know if you'll enjoy it that much. If you're someone who has regularly enjoyed this, make sure you give this a go. It's pretty much amazing. And the last book that I'll recommend today is called The Guest List. It was a psychological thriller that I had read on Storytel quite a long time back, and I had done a book reading club kind of a thing where some of you had also joined me in that read. We did a Zoom meeting and everything. It's not been done for a long time, but if you're interested, I'll try to revive that. So yes, those will be my recommendations in the November recommendations for books. Now let's move on to your second favorite, that is movies. The first movie that I'll recommend, or the first series I'll recommend, is called Don't F With Cats. It's the chase for a serial killer. It's a 3-episode series on Netflix, and it's gonna blow your mind. It's very gory, it's very brutal to look at, but the way the documentary is made, it's very, very intriguing. It's very intriguing. Following this, I also watched 2 more documentaries on Netflix. Number one was the Burari deaths. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about it already. I think it's called House of Secrets specifically, and the Secrets of Hotel Cecil, or Mysteries of Hotel Cecil. So Hotel Cecil is one of these hotels in USA where there's been a lot of murders. It's said that there's been a lot of criminal activities and unexplained things in Cecil Hotel, which is why it's like a notorious place there. And the documentary was very exciting as well. I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately, so I hope that you like these recommendations from everything that I've watched. Following that, I watched this series, which is also a Korean series. It's not Squid Games, by the way. Do recommend that, but it's too popular to even recommend at this point. This one is called My Name. One of my favorite actresses from Korean cinema was in this. She was also in this K-drama called The World of the Married, which I didn't really enjoy that much. But My Name is pretty much amazing. I think it will give you a lot of trust issues. So if you already have trust issues, probably don't watch it. I hope you enjoyed all the movie recommendations, and now let's move on to the courses. Starting off with the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing by Google. I believe everyone wants a Google certified course these days, and this one is one of the best that you can do. You get a certificate, you get all the major things you need to know about digital marketing from Google itself. And overall, it's a very good course to take if you want to get oriented to the world of marketing. The best thing about these courses is that they equip you with a lot of real world skills that you'll be able to use if you get a job or you do freelancing just like I do. It is a little hard to get jobs just by doing these skills because they don't teach you how to go to clients or how to apply to jobs much. But if getting clients is what you want and freelancing is what interests you, you have my academy, Freelance 101 Academy. But if you just want to get started and just get acquainted with the world of online marketing, this is one of the best courses to start with. A to Z of marketing covered more or less. Another amazing course that I would recommend is Gmail Productivity by BitDegree. It covers everything that you need to know about Gmail in specific. It will make you very productive. All of us use mail. It can be completed in less than a couple of hours, which is amazing. A lot of times we think that to take a course means that we have to invest a lot of weeks into it, but some courses are actually like very compact, but they are going to change the way you use certain tools. In this case, Gmail specifically, it has a lot of hacks, and again, you get a certificate with this. And the last one that I'll recommend, I've recommended this before on Instagram, so make sure you follow me if you don't already. It's called Personal Branding from University of Virginia. It's available on Coursera. Over 2 lakh students have enrolled in it for free, and you're gonna know everything about personal branding today. Why is personal branding important? Because these days more and more people and more businesses and brands are using social media even to hire, and especially if you're not looking at just like top 4 or so, sometimes even top 4 actually hire through LinkedIn and all, but a lot of companies are actually on the lookout to hire, and social media is one of the platforms they go for. And with personal branding, you actually get so many more opportunities. One of the major reasons why I have been able to grow my business and work with so many terrific people and get to meet a lot of amazing people, and on top of that really build the life I really love, is because I got a lot of opportunities because people knew who I was, and that was largely because I have a personal brand around myself. For the first 2 years, I was not really conscious that what I'm doing is building a personal brand, but right now that I am, I'm pretty much sure that I'm going to invest more energy and efforts into it. And yes, with that, I end the course recommendations. Regarding podcast recommendations, I honestly couldn't really listen to a lot of podcasts lately because I was so busy. However, two podcasts actually that I would really recommend are called, number 1, Freelance Friday podcast, number 2, To My Sister's podcast. The first one is for freelancing and the second one is for adulting. 2 things that I enjoy and I'm currently going through. I hope that you will like these as well. And yes, with that, I end November recommendations. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Give this video a big fat thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will make sure that I bring it to you again in December. Until then, I will take your leave. This is Helly signing off. Bye bye.